Oh, yeah. Our speaker today is Sara Drew, and her topic is All I Needed to Know I Learned from Bonnie Raitt. Sara is the outreach coordinator here at First Existentialist Congregation of Atlanta. Among other things, she is also a Reiki master, hospital chaplain, and Unitarian Universalist ministerial candidate, working on her doctoral degree at Emory University's Candler School of Theology. Her current academic work centers compassion and hospitality and how we might take better care of each other. Please welcome Sara Drew.
Good morning. Good morning. Gosh, I'm just overwhelmed with joy this morning. Thank you so much, Kathy and Russell. I always knew it was going to be good, but I've been holding back tears the whole time. It's just so wonderful to have you both. Thank you. Thank you to Jean for helping and Stell for allowing me to be a little creative, and Patton for your connection. Gosh, I thought probably it was 6 months ago when I just happened to hear a podcast. It's Julia Louis-Dreyfus's podcast called Smarter Than Me, where she interviews people women who she thinks are smarter than her. And Bonnie Raitt was one of them. And so they were having this conversation about, their experiences of each other's work and, what they appreciated about each other and just their ideas about life. And Bonnie Raitt started talking about, in response to Julia Louis-Dreyfus's question, that she considers herself as having a big B Bonnie self and a little B Bonnie self. And she started saying, big B Bonnie is the one that the world knows, this performer. And she said, truthfully, I have always been more comfortable being that big B Bonnie, the person on stage. That's where I'm comfortable. That's where I'm ready for the world to receive me. And she said, but as intoxicating as that is, it's not actually very authentic because it's me putting on this show for people. And she said, I really have to pay a lot more attention to that little B Bonnie to make sure that I'm being myself, that I'm tending to that authentic expression of myself. And I thought, Bonnie Raitt is an existentialist. And that's where I got the idea to sort of bring her into this space. And I'm just so grateful for you all. Can't wait to hear that less than positive story, Joe, about how you have an embarrassing story with Bonnie. But I love how you all bring her also into this space because, like you said, Joe, I feel like I've been living with her my whole life in this way. And so while I started out thinking she was the existentialist, I sort of came to this conclusion while sitting with it for 6 months or so, that actually she has informed my own existentialism. And so I'm going to tell you some personal stories about how Bonnie Raitt has been in my life. So, I have been consuming this big B Bonnie, right? I don't know little B Bonnie. So, in a way, I'm sort of also thinking about, in sort of the margins, about the way music just informs us, the way, or art, or other people, conversations, right? About the way I had been imagining existentialism as this inner work, this thoughtful decision making I was entirely making on my own. And then when I started to think about Bonnie Raitt's music and how they might be informing my existentialism, I started thinking about how all these outside influences are there for us to hold ourselves against and see ourselves in light of. And so when I start to think about Bonnie Raitt in particular, I think that most of the messages she has given me are about love, which I really appreciate because I personally don't have a lot of examples of healthy love stories in my life, and so I really did need that sort of measuring stick of music, or from Bonnie Raitt, or from maybe TV and the world to sort of navigate my way. But my relationship with Bonnie Raitt started when I was 13. I got a cassette tape for Christmas. It was the Luck of the Draw album. It was 1991. And my Aunt Diane gave me this cassette tape for Christmas. And at the time, I didn't think, that's weird. I just thought, thank you for giving me this Christmas present. I actually really liked it. It was like in a time where I didn't have like access to digital music at all. Like I only had what was like literally given to me or what I could find on the radio, right? And so I listened to it over and over. I wore that thing out. And I was thinking, but you know, as an adult, I'm thinking about like, what was Aunt Diane thinking? Like it definitely wasn't like, it was certainly popular at the time, but it wasn't like 13-year-old like music. And my Aunt Diane was a junior high teacher, and so she knew that. It's not like, so I asked her, I said, do you remember like what you were thinking when you gave that to me? And she said, Bonnie's voice was beautiful to listen to, easy to sing along with, and the lyrics of her songs always felt powerful. Perhaps I was hoping you'd get a sense of power as well. Yeah, which I really appreciate. My Aunt Diane married into my family, so I can only imagine that she had sort of a better vision of what was going on. You know, when you're too close to see something, I think she probably was outside that. And I really appreciate her intention, even all these years later, and I think maybe it worked. So, thank you, Aunt Diane. My favorite song on that album was Let's Give Them Something to Talk About, which you sang earlier today. And I was in junior high, you know, like probably not Bonnie Raitt's target audience, but I really literally applied it to this rumor that had been going around in junior high about me and this boy like having some sort of relationship. There truly was nothing to talk about. But thinking about it that way, way back then, thinking about it that way made me feel like I had some amount of agency over gossip, right? Like, gossip is what gossip is, but if I can say, let's give them something to talk about in whatever way I decide that something is, then I have that agency. And I really feel like that served me well through the high gossip drama years, to sort of think like, oh, I can decide whether this is actually the story or not, regardless of what other people have to say. So that one was really impactful for me. Angel from Montgomery is a different story. When I was in my mid-30s, so it's been a while, I had this brief relationship with someone who had been sort of a high school sweetheart, but there was sort of 20 years in between being a high school sweetheart and this new time. And I had considered myself to be a totally different person. You know, in those 20 years, I had moved away from my very rural, very core upbringing. I got a lot of education. I considered myself like a much more worldly person. Like I was just like in a different place than I had been those 20 years before. And the reason why this song dropped into that time is because his best friend was in this like American Idol style local competition, and he sang Angel from Montgomery. And so that became like part of the backdrop of this relationship, that song. And I just, you know, Angel from Montgomery is a song sang from the point of view of an old woman. And I certainly was not an old woman at 35, but that sort of reckoning of what was really important and what agency you have in any given moment at any given age really sat with me in hearing that song over and over in that time. especially since I was sort of thinking about, maybe moving back home, maybe being with this person in a long-term way, and sort of seeing myself through his eyes from who I was when I was younger to who I was now, and sort of understanding that he could see me for this like innate goodness throughout, and I didn't need to be a different person, that I could be my essential self the whole time, and he reflected that back to me. I am not a musical person. Given this conversation, that may be a surprise, but if you've sat next to me, you know that I cannot sing. And also, I've tried so many times to play musical instruments, but it's never really stuck. But I feel a lot more comfortable with a paintbrush, and I started painting this angel from Montgomery over and over and over and over and over. And this like image of this person sort of reckoning with her life and still longing for something to hold on to, really is firmly situated within me from those years. Ultimately, you might have put together where this story is going. I can't make you love me if you don't. That song tended to me in those years after that relationship sort of dissipated as quickly as it had come up. Is there anything more existential than I can't make you love me if you don't? I can't make you love me, right? We know that, and there was a lot of solace in that song for me in those years. And then we're going to sing, surprise, if you haven't looked ahead in your reading, The Nick of Time. And The Nick of Time is like where I feel like I am now. I feel like much of that song is about being scared to run out of time. And my father passed away when I was just 2 years old. And I didn't know, right? I had no memories of him or that. But what I do have is this like urgency to live life, like this don't waste time, like this really embedded to me a very long time, many, many years, to realize like, oh, maybe that's why I have that, right? Like maybe the circumstances of knowing that you can not have tomorrow, that like some tragic accident can happen and you might not be able to fulfill these plans that you're making, gave me that urgency. And so I sort of imagined him whispering in my ear, like, do it now, do it now, do it now, say this, don't take it for granted, always. But the song and my life, gratefully, have brought me to a place where I feel like everything that we need comes in the nick of time. That there is an anticipation, and we have this sense of what we think we want, but what we really need can come to us in the nick of time. And I find a lot of solace in that. And Bonnie Raitt, when she was talking to Julia Louis-Dreyfus, they talked a little bit about how they see her music as holy. And she said, I don't necessarily think the words are holy or the music is holy. She said, when I really feel it is when I'm performing it, when I'm delivering it to other people. And I've been thinking about that in terms of connection. Certainly when I was in junior high, but any time through my life, Bonnie Raitt wasn't looking to connect with me per se, but good music that really speaks to us, maybe connects to us through time and space. We can find our own connections with people that we'll never meet. Some of you have met her. I have never met her. I've never even seen her in person. But I feel very connected to her, regardless of what she was saying, regardless of if she meant it for me, regardless of, actually, I interpret it correctly. I don't even know if I interpreted it correctly, right? But I have made sense of that beauty, that holiness for myself. And I think that's what music gives us the opportunity to do. And that's certainly what Bonnie Raitt gave me the opportunity to do. and I'm really grateful for that. I have other musicians too who I think have walked me through my life, and I can only imagine that you all have them too. And so I thought I would just give us a moment to silently consider them. Give you a moment of silence to just bring those people forward. Maybe you'll make a playlist later on today, or maybe you'll just hear them in your mind's eye. And then when you're ready, you can come back to the room. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to talk with you this morning. I'm so grateful again to you, Kathy and Russell. Thank you. Thank you.